Welcome to ICG India. Here we upload technical course on mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, and computer engineering. We also upload tutorial on programming language, software, and engineering mathematics. The previous video, we have discussed about web.php login controller in backend development of Todo application. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to develop a task controller for Todo application. There are four functions inside the task controller: store task, complete task, delete task, display task. I will explain one by one. You have to enter the task in input field. After entering the task, click on add button. When you click on add button, that entered particular task will be stored in database using store function. After storing the data in the database, the data stored in database will be displayed below the add button using display function. Instead of display, here I used to do function. The purpose of the to do function is to display all the listed tasks in database to front end. Whenever you click on a particular task, that task will be converted from incomplete state to complete state with the help of complete task function. When the task move to completed state, there is a underline on the particular task. On left hand side, you can see a tick mark. On right hand side, you can see a cross mark. Whenever you click on a cross button, that particular task will be deleted from the database with the help of delete function. I mean, delete task function. Meanwhile, the same deleted task will be removed from the front end. These are the four functions of task controller. I'm going to create the task controller. Type PHP artisan make controller task controller. Here T and C are capital letters. It will create a task controller inside the controller folder. Go to task controller.php file. Add header use app model task to access task controller inside the add use app model task header to access the values from task model. Add use, eliminate, support, packets, or get the author ID of user. Now I'm going to write the store function inside the task controller. The purpose of the store function is to store the detail inside the database. Tasks that you entered in the input field come inside the store function as a request. We will validate the task. It should be a required field. It should be a string. Maximum 255 characters are allowed. First, we will validate these rules. After that, a new task will be created where the task will be stored. Then we will check the user ID of the task. We already created a database with foreign ID. Whenever an user enter the task, there is an ID for user which we can find out using auth ID. The auth ID function will identify the user ID of the person who entered the task. We will store that inside the database. Here, the task save will save the data in database. After saving the data, it will redirect to to-do form. Go to web.php file. Here, we need to write the route for task controller. The to-do represent URL page. We are going to use task controller. So I changed the login controller name to task controller. Then first I'm going to create the store function. So here I added store. Then the name that way I'm going to use inside the HTML file store. So whenever I call store, it will redirect to the store function inside the task controller. Here I need to add the header. So this is task controller. Type PHP artisan serve, create front end page, then click on add button. Now the task will be added into database. We can verify this in Postgresql. Go to task table. Now you can see that create front end page task will be stored in database. Apart from that, it also store is completed. Here is completed false, which means by default the task is not completed. Apart from that, it will store one more information, user id 7, which means I log in using the account user1 at gmail.com. That user id of user1 at gmail.com is 7, so it will store that user id in the database. Next, I'm going to write a to do function to display the task stored in database into front end. Let's see how to do this. Next, I'm going to write a function to display the task. Here, the function name is to do. Whenever you call to do function, first it will take all the tasks from the database, then it will return all the tasks to do inside the view folder. Here, the data will be sent in the name of tasks. So whenever you call or display task in front end, I mean in HTML, it will list all the tasks. Here, there is a function called store. Here, instead of returning to do form, we have to return it to do. Then only after storing the data in the database, this function redirect to do. Then only it will display the task in HTML. So I'm going to modify this as to do. Now go to web.php file. Here I need to write a route for to do. URL slash todo, and we are calling a class todo inside the task controller whenever I represent the name todo in HTML file. Open todo.play.php file. So this is add button. There is a form post here. Here I'm going to give it as store. So whenever I press add button, it will call store function. Then it will come here. Here the request should be the task details, and it will be printed. I mean it will be stored in database. After that, it will redirect to to do page, and here we have a to do function, not page, to do function. Here we have a to do function. The to do function will display all the tasks to do file. Now I need to write a code in front end to display the task. Go to todo.play.php file. Here I'm going to print each task as task. Each task can be assigned to task. There is a break tag. It will break the line after each task. It will paste all the tasks, then it will come out of the HTML loop. Now we have to ensure that the data are moving from database to front end through get command. Go to web.php. Here we have created a class for to do. So here this is get instead of post. Then only the data will move from database to front end. Now we have to link login controller with task controller. When you click on login button, what will happen? It will go to the login controller. Inside the login controller, it will redirect to do form. Instead of to do form, we have to redirect to task controller. In task controller, it will display the data from the database. For that, we have to use to do. So what happened when you use to do here? It will go to this function to do. What happened when you call to do function? First, it will display all the tasks from the database. Then again, it will call the same page, to do page. Then it will stay on the same page. So this is how we can link login controller with task controller. I'm going to click on login button. So now you can see that it will display the data from the database. Create front end page. Now I'm going to enter connect database. That is my second task. Click on add button. What will happen when you click on add button? The data will be stored in database. Then again, it will be displayed below create front end page.
The error says that the route goes inside the store, but it's not able to find the proper link. Go to todo.play.php, check the location store. There is a mistake in route. It should be placed something like this. Now log in once again. Here I'm going to type connect database. Now click on add button. Now the data will be added database. Again create backend. Now I'm going to press add button. So what happened when you press add button? The data will be stored in database. At the same time, it will be displayed below connect database. Now I'm going to press add button. Now you can see that create backend. It will be stored in database. At the same time, it will be displayed below connect database.
Next, I'm going to display the task in proper format. This is a format of task. Initially, there is a checkbox. Actually, this is not a checkbox. It's an image. Unchecked image. This is checked image. Below the image, there is a checkbox. The checkbox contains only two information, true or false. Then there is a span. Inside the span, we printed the task. At the end of the span, there is one more span where we added this cross button. When you add a task through add button, two information will come to this display. First one, the task name, then task status. By default, the task status false, which means unchecked box will be displayed. If you click on task 4, since it is placed inside this span, we can click on the task. Now I'm going to click on task 4. What happened when you click on task 4? The span activate the previous checkbox. That is how we have written a code. Here I used few JavaScript commands. When you activated checkbox, then it posts the information as is task completed equal to true. If the task completed is true, then this unchecked box converted into checked box. Meanwhile, there will be a cross button at the end of this task. For that, we have to write a code in backend. Whenever you click on a particular task, it will be converted into completed task. There is a checkbox and there is a strike through, and there is a cross button. We have to write a code for this in the backend using complete task function. There is one more function in the backend, delete task. Suppose if you click on cross button, what happened? That particular task will be deleted from the database. Totally, there are two functions in the backend: complete task, delete task. Whereas in the front end, we have to pass two information. First one, whether the task is completed or not. Then task ID. Through task ID only, it will identify what task is completed or not. Let's see how to do this in code. First, I'm going to focus on front end. Once we completed this front end, then we will move on to back end. Let me tell you the components of front end. There is an image, checked image, unchecked image. Below the image, there is a checkbox. Then I have a span. Inside this span, we print a particular task. This is form 1. So whenever you click on task, the form will be submitted. There is one more form which contain only one span. Inside this span, there is a cross button. When you click on this cross button, then it will submit or it will go to delete task activity. So this is how it looks like initially. The task will be represented like this. We need to change this into proper format like checked, unchecked image. Now I'm going to change the default code first. This is how the initial code look like. First, I'm going to create a form. Inside the form, I'm going to create an input field checkbox and span. Then I'm going to remove this break tag, cut and paste the task inside the span. Now
I'm going to paste the entire form inside the for loop. So this is how it looks like. I'm going to create an unordered list and list. The class name for list unchecked. If it is unchecked, then there is a checkbox image will appear here. If it is checked, then there is a checked image will appear here. Now I'm going to write the CSS property. First, list style none. So this will remove this list from the task. Here font size 17 pixel, padding top 12, then 8 pixel, 12 pixel, 15 pixel, user select none, cursor, pointer, position relative, then text alignment left. Here all the text will be assigned to left. Save the file, then refresh. So this is how it looks like. Background for span, there is a color for background. So whenever you move cursor on span, I mean task, there is a gray color highlight, which you can see now. Here ULLI checked represent this class. There are two classes, unchecked and checked. Here the content is null, position absolute, height and width are 28 pixel. Actually, we are placing an image at this position. Somewhere here we are placing an image. The location of image, images unchecked dot png. Inside the images, I placed two images unchecked. This is how checked look like. This is how unchecked look like. If it is checked, then this is an image. Here, height and width of this image 28 pixel. That is the meaning of the term height and width. And this is the location of background image. Background size cover. Then we want to place the margin left side of 8 pixel. So I'm going to save this file. I already loaded an image on the location. In the description box, I will give you the image of this two file. Actually, this is checked. Similarly, you have to create one more thing for unchecked. Paste the entire code, name it as unchecked. Then here, this should be unchecked, whereas this is checked. So now you can see there is a checkbox for each task. Suppose if you want, suppose if you want to display the checked box, change the name of this class. Now what happened? You can see the completed task. If you want to show unchecked, name this as unchecked. Now refresh. Now you can see the unchecked. Next, I would like to remove this square box. This is form 1 input. Form 1 input, display none. So this will remove the square box. Order the task with checked or unchecked images. Next, I'm going to create a cross delete button on right hand side. Copy this form 1, make another copy of form. Here, name of the form 2. There is no need of input, so I'm going to delete the input. We need only span. Then here the method is delete. Remove the task, add cross button. This is the value for cross button. Now you can see there is a cross button. And let me set the property for delete button. Form to display inline float right. Now you can see the cross button on right hand side. Display of form 1 also inline. So now you can see the cross button which is equivalent to task 2, task 4 and task 3. Here form 1, form 2, both the spans are pointer. Whenever you move mouse pointer above the span, it will be converted into pointer. There will be a gray color on task. Now I'm going to add a task. Task 1, click on add button. The task will be added here with unchecked box. Task 5, click on add button. It will be added below the task 1. This is unchecked. Next, I'm going to click on task 5. Whenever I click on task 5, it should be changed into completed task. First, the image should change from unchecked to checked. Then there will be a strike through on task 5. Let's see how to do this. I'm going to write a function for complete task. Two arguments like ID and request will come inside as an input. Then we will find the task based on task ID. If the task is completed or not, which we will identify using this command. Once identified, true means completed, false means not completed. Then we will save that information in database. Then it will go to do. So when a user click on a particular task, whatever the value stored already, if it is 1, it will be converted into 0. If it is 0, then it will be converted into 1. So that conversion will take place using this command. Then it will save the information in database. Then it will reroute to do page. So this is the backend for complete task. Now I need to link this complete task and ID from the front end. I'm going to use ternary operator. If it is true, then it is checked. If it is not true, then it is unchecked. Then for form action, I'm going to give route, complete task and task ID. For checkbox on change, this form submit. Then inside this span, add on click where we are going to specify this dot previous element sibling dot click, which will activate the previous element, which means whenever you click on span, it will activate the checkbox. Here there is a spelling mistake. This form submit. Here there is one more small error. The task, there is no single quote for task. Now I'm going to click on task 3. When I click on task 3, it will move from incomplete state to complete state. Earlier, there is an unchecked image. Now there is a checked image. Now I'm going to click on task 5. Here you can see that it will move from unchecked image to checked image. So this is how you can write a code for complete task, both front end as well as back end. Finally, I'm going to write a code for delete task. We can reuse the complete task code. Here, there is no need of is completed. Then here, instead of save, this is delete. Then after delete, it will, as usual, go to do. So this is the complete code for delete task. This is the backend for delete task activity. Here we need to specify the route. We can copy the route from complete task. Here it is delete task. In this span, on click, this parent element submit has to be added. Then all the remaining parameters are same. I'm going to save this file. Now we can delete any task. I'm going to delete task 2. It will be deleted. If you want to delete df, g or df, you can. Task 1 deleted, dft deleted. So this is the front end for delete task activity. So finally, we completed task controller. The entire task controller perform 4 functions. Whenever you add a task, here I'm going to add task 8. When I click on add button, first it will store the task in database, then it will display the task in the below display. So I'm going to click on add button, it will be added here. So whenever I click on task 8, it will converted from incomplete state to complete state. So this is incomplete, unchecked state task. So I clicked on that. Now it is converted into completed state. There is a cross button, delete button. When you click on that, that particular task deleted from the to-do list. So this is the purpose of task controller. So with this, we almost completed the entire to-do list project. Here, I would like to show you the demo once again, starting from the scratch. So this is a login page. Now I'm going to create new register. I'm going to use user2 email ID user2 at gmail.com, password 1234 1234. Now I'm going to click on register. It will save the details in the registration. Then it will go to login page. Here, just now I registered user 2. So I'm going to give user 2 details. Then this is 1234. Now I'm going to click on login. So up to this, the login controller will take care all the works. So I clicked on login button. It will go inside the to-do list. Here, there is a one more task we have to. I created user 2, but just now I created user 2. There is no task added by user 2, but still we can see a lot of tasks inside the user 2. These are all the tasks created by user 1. So we have to remove the visibility. So the user can see only their data. They can't see other person's to-do list. So that is the only one pending work. So for that, here we have to do some modification. As of now, all the tasks should be visible to all the person, but only the task created by the user should be visible to the corresponding user only. So for that, I'm going to modify this code. Replace this line with following code. Instead of all, we have to check user ID of person, whether it is an authorized person that we have to verify. After that, we have to get the detail of user details of task for a corresponding user ID alone. Here, instead of displaying all the tasks, we get only the task created by the user. Then we order all the tasks based on if it is completed or not. Then the user should be an authorized person. So this is a code for verifying task. So now I'm going to save this file. Now refresh the page. Now you see that there is no task because just now I created user 2. So there is no task created by user 2. Now I'm going to create some task for user 2. Let's say create front end. Click on add. The task will be added here. Connect database. Now the task will be added.
Just click on connect database. It will be converted into completed state. Click on delete button. It will be deleted from the database. Now I'm going to log out the user 2. Now I'm going to user 1 with the corresponding email and password. Now you can see the task created by user 1. In user 2, I created create frontend. That task not available on user 2. So this command will take only the task created by the particular user ID from the database. It get the task created by the user ID and display that in the to-do list front page. So this is how you can create a complete to-do list in Laravel package using model view controller architecture.